You defend yourself because you are afraid of disappearing. You call it clarity. You call it fairness. You call it standing up for yourself. But every time you rush to explain, justify, or prove, you reveal something you don't want to see. You are begging to be seen as innocent in a world that does not care. Watch yourself closely. The moment someone questions you, your chest tightens, your mind races. You start building sentences like shields. You think words will save you. They won't. Defending yourself is not strength. It is a confession. It tells everyone around you that their opinion has weight over your identity. It tells them you are still asking for permission to exist. You don't notice it because it feels normal. You were trained into it. From childhood, you learned that silence equals guilt. That explanation equals virtue. That being misunderstood is dangerous. So you talk, you clarify, you over-explain, you react, and every reaction puts you lower in the hierarchy. You believe power comes from being right. That is the lie that keeps you controllable. Power comes from being untouched. Look at how people really behave when pressure enters the room. The insecure rush to speak, the weak rush to justify, the guilty-looking rush to defend, and the one with real control does nothing. That silence burns people. It makes them nervous. It forces them to fill the space with their own insecurity. But you were never taught this. You were taught to be good, to be reasonable, to explain yourself so others feel comfortable. That comfort is not kindness. It is submission. Every time you defend yourself, you accept the frame that you are on trial. You accept that someone else is the judge. You accept their reality as the battlefield. And once you accept the frame, you already lost. Notice how fast your ego jumps in. It hates being misunderstood. It hates losing status. It hates silence because silence does not give it validation. So it panics. It wants to fix things now. That panic is visible. People smell it. You think you are clearing your name. What you are really doing is advertising your fear of rejection. The world is not run by truth. It is run by perception and leverage. You can be correct and still be powerless. You can be innocent and still be crushed. Most people never learn this. They spend their entire lives defending stories about themselves, explaining who they are, correcting how others see them. They die tired and confused, wondering why respect never arrives. Because respect is not given to those who explain. It is given to those who don't need to. You were told that if you don't defend yourself, lies will win. That silence means agreement, that others will control the narrative. That belief was planted to keep you reactive. Silence does not mean agreement. It means you refuse to play a rigged game. When you defend yourself, you reveal your weak points, your values, your triggers, your emotional investments. You hand people the map to your mind. They learn what hurts you, what scares you, what you are trying to protect, and later when it benefits them, they use it. You think people are listening to understand. They are listening to gain advantage. The moment you feel the urge to say, "Let me explain," something inside you already collapsed. Your internal authority stepped aside. You let external judgment enter your nervous system. That is not communication. That is surrender. You live in a world where everyone is silently competing for position. Status is measured in who reacts first and who stays untouched, who chases approval and who never asks for it. You were told this competition does not exist, that everyone is equal, that intentions matter more than outcomes. That lie keeps you polite and predictable. Watch social dynamics carefully. The person who explains the most is rarely the leader. The one who defends their actions is rarely feared. The one who needs to be understood is never in control. Yet, you keep doing it. Because being disliked feels like death to your ego. Because being misjudged feels unbearable. Because you confuse attention with power. You are not defending your honor. You are defending your self-image, and that image is fragile. If you were solid, you would not rush to protect it. If you were grounded, you would not need consensus. If you were dangerous, misunderstanding would not threaten you. But you are still tied to how you are perceived, still measuring yourself through other people's eyes, still reacting to every shift in tone, every raised eyebrow, every accusation. That reactivity is visible. It marks you. People push those who react. They test them. They provoke them. Not because they hate them, but because reactive people are easy to move. When you defend yourself, you show where the leash is attached. And the most humiliating part is this. Most of the time, no one even accused you seriously. They just observed how fast you volunteered explanations. You think silence will make you look weak. You fear losing control of the story. But the story was never yours once you started telling it to please others. The real danger is not being misunderstood. The danger is teaching the world that you can be shaken. Sit with that discomfort. Notice how your mind wants relief, wants a rule, wants reassurance. You won't get it yet. Ask yourself quietly, who benefits every time you rush to defend yourself? Why do certain people stay calm while others scramble to explain? And what would happen to your life if you stopped reacting altogether? You were taught that morality protects you. It doesn't. It exposes you. Morality is a language people use to disguise hunger for control. They don't want justice. They want leverage without admitting it. Watch what happens when someone questions you in public. The accusation is rarely about facts. It is about position. The moment you defend yourself, you step into their frame. You accept their authority to question you. You legitimize their role as evaluator. That is the real exchange. Not truth for truth, status for status. Most people never see this because they are obsessed with being right. They think life is a courtroom. They think if they explain clearly enough, power will align with truth. That belief is childish. Power aligns with certainty, not explanation. With calm, not correctness. With restraint, not emotional clarity. Defending yourself feels noble because your ego dresses it up as integrity. But integrity is internal. It does not require witnesses. The need to defend is born from insecurity about rank. It is the fear that silence will drop you lower in the hierarchy. So, you speak. You clarify, you correct, and in doing so, you confirm that hierarchy exists and that you care where you stand. The most dangerous people do not deny accusations. They let them rot. Because accusations need oxygen. Defenses provide it. Silence starves the attack and forces the aggressor to overextend. They start adding details, raising their voice, repeating themselves. They reveal desperation. But you were conditioned to rescue the situation, to ease tension, to prove you are reasonable. Reasonable people are manageable. Look deeper into social behavior. People don't attack those they fear. They attack those they sense will respond. They poke, they test, they watch. If you flinch, they push harder. Defending yourself teaches others how much pressure it takes to move you. This is not about being cold for performance. It is about reclaiming internal authority. The one who explains is asking to be believed. The one who stays silent assumes belief is irrelevant. That difference is everything. Stoicism was never about emotional numbness. It was about refusing to let external noise invade internal command. Machiavelli understood something most people avoid. Power does not care about your intentions, only your reactions. The world is not fair. It is observant. It watches how you respond under stress, how quickly you justify, how badly you need approval. Your reactions teach people how to treat you. Defending yourself feels active, but it is reactive. It places you one step behind, always responding to someone else's move. Control is proactive silence. There is another layer you don't want to admit. Sometimes you defend yourself not to convince others, but to convince yourself. To reassure yourself that you are still good, still right, still worthy. That is ego addiction. Your ego wants confirmation. It wants alignment between how you see yourself and how others see you. But alignment is weakness. It makes you predictable. People who cannot tolerate misinterpretation are easy to manipulate. Just threaten their image and watch them scramble. You see this everywhere, in offices, in families, in relationships. The calm one sets the tone. The emotional one chases it. The one who speaks last holds gravity. The one who speaks first reveals anxiety. Yet your nervous system has been trained to react fast, to fix, to smooth. Because silence feels like danger when your identity is external. You believe if you don't correct the record, something bad will happen. But what you fear is not loss of truth. It is loss of control over perception. And control over perception is power. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people do not deserve explanations. They have not earned access to your inner world. When you defend yourself, you give access freely. You make yourself legible, readable, predictable. That transparency feels honest. It is also exploitable. Dark psychology is not about manipulation tricks. It is about understanding how visibility works. The more visible your emotional process is, the more controllable you are, the more opaque you become, the more people hesitate. Hesitation is power. You were trained to fear being misjudged, but misjudgment only hurts those who rely on validation. Those who operate from internal sovereignty don't rush to correct shadows. They move anyway. Their actions become the answer. Their presence becomes the message. And because they don't explain, others project strength onto them. Mystery fills the gap. Most people are desperate to be understood. That desperation leaks. The few who don't care become gravitational centers. This is why defending yourself often makes things worse, not because you are wrong, but because you are signaling insecurity. You are telling the room that your identity is fragile, that it needs protection, that it can be damaged by words. Words only hurt those who accept them as authority, and authority is something you either own or outsource. Right now, you outsource it every time you react. Sit with that. Feel the discomfort grow. Notice how your mind wants a rule to follow, a move to make, a strategy to apply. Not yet. Ask yourself, who are you when no one approves? What remains when you stop explaining? And why does silence feel more dangerous than attack? Here is the shift most people never make. You stop needing to be cleared. You stop needing to be seen as good, fair, or reasonable. You stop negotiating with perception. This is where real control begins. Power is not loud. It does not argue. It does not explain itself to the room. It waits. When you stop defending yourself, something uncomfortable happens first. People misread you. They project. They assume. Let them. Confusion is not a threat. It is a weapon. The moment you stop correcting narratives, you reclaim your internal command. Your nervous system slows down. Your reactions disappear. And people feel it. They feel that they can't move you anymore. They feel that their opinions bounce off instead of landing. That is psychological armor. You were never meant to be transparent. Transparency is for systems, not sovereign individuals. You become dangerous when your inner world becomes inaccessible, when your motives are unclear, when your silence forces others to guess. Guessing weakens them. Here is the identity shift. You are no longer a participant in every conversation about you. You are no longer available for emotional interrogation. You are no longer volunteering explanations as peace offerings. You move. You act. You decide. If someone misunderstands, you don't rush to clean it up. You let reality handle it. Because reality always speaks louder than defense, this does not mean you are passive. It means you choose when to engage and when to let pressure expose weakness. People who attack silence eventually overplay their hand. They get louder, messier, more emotional. And while they spiral, you stay still. Stillness unnerves people more than aggression. They can fight anger. They can debate logic. They cannot grip emptiness. This is where dominance becomes quiet. You stop reacting to disrespect, not because you tolerate it, but because you understand timing. Reacting instantly is for those who cannot delay gratification. Waiting is for those who already know their position. When you do respond, it is minimal, precise, late. Late responses carry weight. You no longer chase closure. You no longer need the last word. The last word is rarely the most powerful one. The final action is. This is why elite figures often appear misunderstood, cold, or distant. They are not confused. They are selective. They do not defend their reputation. They let outcomes do it. You begin to realize something unsettling. Most people need you more than you need them. They need your reaction to feel relevant. They need your explanation to feel justified. They need your emotional energy to feel powerful. When you withdraw it, they shrink. Not instantly, but inevitably. This is not cruelty. It is clarity. You are not responsible for managing other people's interpretations. That responsibility was never yours. Once you accept this, a quiet confidence replaces anxiety. You walk slower, you speak less, you observe more. Your words become deliberate. Your presence becomes heavy. People start watching you instead of testing you. Because unpredictable silence signals something rare: internal authority. You stop trying to be understood by the crowd. You start being understood by results. That is the hierarchy shift. Most people will never do this. They are addicted to explanation, addicted to validation, addicted to being seen as good. They will continue exhausting themselves defending stories. You won't. You understand now that defending yourself was never about truth. It was about fear. Fear of being alone in your position. Fear of standing without applause. Fear of letting tension exist. But tension is where power lives. When you no longer fear silence, you become untouchable. This is why the calm one always wins, not because they are right, but because they are not reactive. You don't need to announce this shift. You don't need to explain it. You embody it. Let others talk. Let them speculate. Let them misunderstand. You move forward anyway. And slowly, without effort, the hierarchy rearranges itself around you. Those who need noise fall away. Those who sense strength adjust their behavior. This is not for everyone. Most people will hear this and go back to explaining themselves tomorrow. You won't. You now see the cost of defense and the value of silence. If you stay here, if you hold this line, you stop being managed by perception. You become the one others adjust to, quietly, coldly, in full control. If this perspective disturbed you, that's the point. It means something old cracked. Stay with that crack. That's where the player identity forms.